Hi, and thank you for joining me. My name is Rob Scott, publisher at UC Today, and I'm really excited to present this year's UC Trends series. If you're a fan of UC Today, then you'll know that every October we run a special video series called UC Trends. In this insightful video series, I talk to senior executives from trailblazing vendors in UC, collaboration and CX, and discuss their perspective of the marketplace and what they predict will be the next year's game changers. We will also have some fun with them at the end of the main interview session with some quick fire questions to reveal a bit more about their personality and what makes them tick. Stand by for UC Trends 2021. As the industry continues to be disrupted by innovation, vendor consolidation, and new service providers entering the cloud communications market, we're seeing UCaaS and collaboration also becoming a top priority for many providers globally. One award-winning vendor stands out from the crowd this year, one that provides a full white-labeled UCaaS, CPaaS, and CCaaS solution, enabling channel partners to differentiate their offerings. I'm delighted to welcome to the virtual studio 2600Hz co-founder and chair, Patrick Sullivan. Patrick, great to see you again today. Really interested to hear from you how your year's been. But before we get started, how about we kick off with a little bit about yourself and 2600Hz?
Oh, absolutely. So my name is Patrick Sullivan. I am one of the co-founders at 2600Hz. If you're not familiar with what we do, we build a wholesale or business communication platform to enable people for their UCaaS, their call centers, or even just API control. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for service providers, so they can put their own logo on it and then go to market and start selling a lot of cool business communication features.
Great. How did you get involved in the UC space, if you will?
It's a great question. About 10 years ago, my co-founder came to me and said, hey, I think there's a massive opportunity in the UC space. There hasn't been a ton of new, really cool inventions, and where they're going with the technology has just been somewhat slow. And his whole viewpoint was, if we can kind of merge UC plus APIs, where you can give your customers a lot of control around, customization, there's a massive opportunity. And 10 years ago, remember, the cloud was just getting started. And so when we looked at this, it wasn't just about, hey, how do we, build some cool features and functionality? It was more of, how do we build a distributed platform that could be deployed anywhere? And if there's ever a situation where a server goes down or a data center goes down, the system is still up and running. Because if you remember a long time ago, especially in the VoIP world, there were a lot of issues around this idea of stability. And so our whole viewpoint was, take cool technologies that, companies like Google were using for, uptime, making sure that the system is always, number one, stable and performing. And then all the features and functionality on top of that are just, something that the industry has never seen before. And we got lucky. Quite honestly, it wasn't just, the UCaaS space. Where we got really lucky was our long-term vision on APIs and how everything should be an API. And so if you're familiar with companies like Twilio, they really educate the market on what a developer API is in business communication. We just got lucky because we were at the same place at the same time. And so we're almost kind of like a cross between, a RingCentral plus a Twilio, all for, a customer to white label it and go to market, using our technology under the hood, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, and you certainly are in a good place there now, aren't you? So in terms of the marketplace, what's the secret to success? I mean, you've got a full stack proposition, UCaaS, CPaaS, and CCaaS. Is that the secret sauce? Is it what's your view on that? What makes it special?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say actually the secret sauce is, it's not just building out the technology, it's enabling your partners to sell it. One of the hard things early on was we gave, it's funny, when we first launched our product, our original vision was not to build an interface, was to be like, hey, here's all these APIs, and behind the scenes, everything will work properly, but you can build your own interface based on where your customer wants. And so our thought process was we give the capabilities for our customers to build their own interface so they can focus on a particular target market and really dominate that market. And what we learned is a lot of customers don't like to build anything. They just want to go, put their logo on and start selling it. So, the secret really is to enable your customers to do what they're good at. And our customers are really good at sales and marketing. And so we're really focused on more of the technology behind the scenes and the product behind the scenes, and then enable our customers to go sell it. So, we learned that the hard way early on, which was, hey, maybe our customers will be really good at development. Maybe our customers will be good at building a product. And that just wasn't the case. So, in the long term, there's a good delineation of responsibility where we focus on product and technology. And then our customers who are really good at the sales and marketing, that's where they go. And it turns out we're not good at sales and marketing. So this is perfect for us too. So it's kind of a, win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. So let's talk about 2020. How's this year been for you as a company? What are your standout moments?
Yeah, so as everybody who's listening to this probably knows, there's a little bit of a pandemic going on. And that was actually, at first is scary, like for everybody. We didn't really know where the market was going. Interesting enough, turns out people need business communications more than ever. We noticed it, pretty quickly, especially when shelter in place started to happen in the United States mainly. The call volume just dramatically went up. So, year over year growth, our volumes have been hitting about 60, 70% higher than it was this time last year. We see that where the industry is going is that with a lot of people sheltering in place or remote workers, they need to be enabled to do their job. And so from 2020 perspective, as a company, we quickly pivoted our roadmap. And instead of, building a bunch of features and functionality that are really enabled for the office, we really looked at, what does the end user need to do to be productive? And so quickly we came out with some new features and functionality around, video conferencing, around, hey, how do we enable people to make sure that their Webrtc is working properly so they can make phone calls from their laptop without having their desk phones nearby. And we really focused on this idea that, you have to enable your customers so that they can have their customers be enabled with a remote environment. And I think that was a really good vision because, some of our competitors kind of went down the route of like, well, pandemic will eventually, slow down, people will get back to work. So let's still stay focused on, desk phones. Where our vision was, this could be a while. So we got to make sure that, we enable our customers so that their clients, are enabled in for the long term.
And so what's the market like at the moment, the channel base for you? In terms of what's the mindset like looking kind of at this new norm right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think on some aspects, we've noticed that the channel is a little bit, I don't want to say scared, but they're a little, worried about the future. They're not sure exactly where it's going to be going. They're not sure how they're going to get there. But with that said, they're also looking towards the future of, if we move forward on a new platform or a secondary platform, what are the keys to making our business decision? And a lot of that's around, remote workers. A lot of it's around, hey, a lot of people are working remote. They might not just be in the same country. They might be distributed around the world now. And so we need a communication system that can be distributed around the world. And that's, plays to our strengths. What we're also seeing is that, this is another probably a whole new conversation topic at some point, but, with the acquisition by Broadsoft or Cisco to Broadsoft, and then Microsoft buying Metaswitch, we're seeing a lot of, fear and uncertainty in the channels, and they just don't want to be another Me Too, which is, oh, I'm also selling Cisco products or I'm also selling Microsoft products. And so we're getting a lot of, interesting leads and customers from, a base that we normally, was pretty happy a couple of years ago. They're now looking for, alternative solutions. So it's definitely, been kind of an interesting 2020 so far. And we're also, we're pretty excited about where this is going, just because, with the environment and with the play in the industry, there's been a lot of change lately.
Yeah, so although it's uncertain, there is opportunity as well out there for the channel. In terms, I just want you to look into your crystal ball for a moment and just kind of talk about the future. But what kind of technologies do you think are really going to impact our space going forward into 2021?
Oh, that's a great question. Webrtc has been talked about forever, but it's constantly changing and evolving. And I think a lot of people haven't really embraced it yet, mainly because they're kind of waiting to see where it goes. I can officially tell you it's here. And if companies aren't embracing Webrtc now, they need to, especially, for this work remotely, kind of concept, is that people don't necessarily have their desk phone, at their desk anymore. They don't even have a desk, and what we've been noticing is a lot of our clients, they're working remotely and they have kids in one room, so they don't even have an official office, and they just kind of have to move around to whichever room is available. And so I think for 2021, it's not just, hey, how do we make sure that, video is a thing? How do we make sure that, like audio is being transferred to, properly? It's really, how do we enable people to be working with whatever resources they have available to them? We're also noticing in 2021, call centers are dramatically changing. The traditional call center was a bunch of people are in a giant warehouse, and you sit down at your desk and then you call, you make your calls or receive your calls. I believe that entire industry is going to be, flipped on its side. There is no longer going to be these giant warehouses. There's not going to be hundreds of people in a call center, making calls. It's going to be people who can be at home, and, it's not just the agents, but the managers, and the managers have to, have the data to, analyze what the agents are doing and stuff. And so that's one of the things that we're really focused on, is to enable this distributed workforce for call centers, and really giving the data and the analytics to make sure that, not only people are working, but their managers, can make sure that they're doing, the most efficient way possible, if that makes sense.
It does indeed, and certainly distributed workforce is going to be an ongoing trend that we're going to see, isn't it? And equally very exciting, and lots of opportunity for channel partners going forward. Thanks for talking to me, Patrick. It's really interesting hearing your view of the marketplace, and lots of exciting things coming up. So, Patrick, thanks for taking the opportunity up with me to do some quick fire questions. Let's get started. First job.
First job was mowing lawns. So 16 years old, mowing lawns.
That's a good job. Favorite day of the week?
I like Thursdays. Big fan of Thursdays.
Why Thursdays? I'm curious.
Thursday is like the last day where it's like, you're working, you're kind of done with the week, and then Friday, you can kind of get through it, and then you have, the whole weekend in front of you.
I like it, yeah. Would you rather be able to speak any language in the world or speak to animals?
If you asked me that 20 years ago, I'd go with the any language in the world. But now it'd be speak to animals, because I feel like, Google and a bunch of other companies are, making it much easier to speak any language in the world via AI. And I think they're pretty far away from getting the ability to speak with animals anytime soon. So I think that still gives you a pretty competitive advantage.
Yeah, wouldn't it be amazing? What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Buy for $1, sell for $2.
What's the most inspirational book you've ever read, and why?
Oh, that's a great question. I hate to admit this. I mainly listen to books on tape now. And from an inspirational book, I really enjoyed the Elon Musk book, mainly because it kind of, makes you realize that everybody struggles through hardship, but eventually you come out the other side.
Yeah, I think I've read the same book. Yeah, great book. And equally, I like listening to audiobooks nowadays. It just seems to be much easier to fit them in.
Get things done in the house, clean things up, and listening to a book while you're working.
Absolutely. If you could teleport anywhere in the world today, where would you go?
Probably New Zealand. Their COVID rates are the lowest, and it's just amazing down there.
Yeah, a good place to hide out. Voice call or video call?
I have a face for voice, so I usually stick to voice, but I don't mind a video call here and there.
Dawn or dusk?
I'd say dawn.
Early riser. Good. Do you believe in fate?
Yes and no. I believe, the harder you work, the luckier you get. So I think if you work hard, and you believe in fate, then it kind of happens. If you sit on the couch, then, your fate might not be happening anytime soon.
What's worse, ironing or gardening?
I used to work in sales and I had to wear a tie all the time, so I got really good at ironing. So gardening, it's just not my thing, unfortunately. My girlfriend would love to, get me out of that and help her on the garden, but unfortunately, I'd say ironing is much easier for me.
Interesting. Most watched movie ever?
Oh, this is a little embarrassing.
Go on, give me the embarrassing one.
I watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome a bazillion times as a kid and just growing up because, I don't know, I think I was trying to get ready for the apocalypse in case it ever did come along. So, yeah, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Good movie. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Funny, weird, awkward.
If you were given an all-expenses trip to the north of England, would you take it?
Is this pre-COVID or after COVID or during COVID?
You don't want to come right now, but yeah, maybe come and visit me in the future.
Would absolutely come visit you in the future, for sure.
Good. So, what is your greatest inspiration?
In a weird way, I'm really inspired by all the people throughout my life that told me I couldn't do something. So I think, the little chip on the shoulder is a good thing. And for all the people who've always said I could do things, I appreciate it. But, I think I get more inspired by the naysayers versus the positive sayers.
Who is your greatest inspiration?
My father. When I still remember, I was probably 10 years old. He got a paycheck and he worked at TWA at the time. And, they weren't doing very well. And he looked at me, he's like, son, you should start your own company someday because, you never want to let some idiot make a decision for you. You should be the idiot. And I was like, oh, that's good advice. So he's always inspired me that way.
Yeah, that's great advice. Type, touch, or speak?
I'm a speaking kind of person.
Elvis or the Beatles?
The Beatles.
Say good day, mate, in an Australian accent.
So before I say this, my old roommate was Australian and I practiced on him all the time. And he said, I've always had the worst Australian accent of all time. So this is for Damien. Good day, mate. Some more shrimp on the barbie.
Very good. If you could go back in time for a day, what date would you go back to and why?
I would go back to the day my co-founder convinced me to start this company and tell him I'm really excited because when he tried to convince me to start this company with him, I legitimately told him I would never do this. This seems like an awful idea and it seems really painful. Looking back on it, it was one of the best decisions I made. So I would like to go back and apologize to him and say, hey, I love this idea. We should totally do this. This will be a lot of fun.
I love that. Which new technology will transform the future?
Ooh, well, in telecom, like I said, I'm a big fan on. I love Webrtc and I love what is happening there. I'm a big fan of where IR is going, and virtual reality is going, and then in general, honestly, I don't want to sound like an Elon Musk fanboy, but that guy seems to be doing all sorts of really cool things, and even like his neuro implants now. I'm like, wow, that seems like that's really crazy technology compared to distributed phone calls. So I kind of feel like whatever that guy's doing, that's probably some technology that will change the future.
Yeah, I must admit, I watched the Neuralink thing recently. That just blew my mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally, what's your greatest achievement ever?
Oh, my greatest achievement ever? That is a great question. I don't know. I think, honestly, happiness. Like, I'm a pretty happy person, and my greatest achievement is the friends and family that I have around me. And I don't give myself that credit; I give them that credit. But they all make me happy, and I feel like that's my greatest achievement is to put myself in a position where there's amazing people around me.
Thanks, Patrick. It's been really super talking to you today, and equally great to see 2600 Hertz go from strength to strength. Thanks again, and I wish you all the best for the year ahead.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're ever in California, please come visit us. And I think the next time we ask questions, we should ask you, would you ever come to, if you had a full paid trip to California, would you come here before and after COVID?
In a flash, yeah. Maybe after the COVID, but in a flash. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.